Hello everybody, my name is Aspec and welcome back to another mod tutorial. Today we'll be talking about Tinker's Construct, which is a popular mod that has all sorts of cool tools and crafting in it, among some other cool stuff. I am currently in Minecraft 1.18.2 and the mods version I have right now is Tinker's Construct 3.5.2.40. In today's video I wanted to talk about the world gen, the basic stations that you can make, tier 1 tools and crafting, along with basic repair. And then we'll talk about tier 2 smelting and some of the cool stuff that you can do working with the slime. So with that said, let's get right into it. Alright, so first let's start off with the world gen. So this mod is going to add a few floating islands to your world. So there's the Earth Slime Island, the Sky Slime Island, the Clay Island, and a Nether and End Island called the Blood Slime and End Slime Island. And these are all pretty unique, but they all provide a different sort of set of tools for you. And so let's go look at the Earth Slime Island first. So this island's going to spawn in the oceans and the overworld, sort of towards the ground. It's going to be this green island, and it's got a few of these cool earth slimes spawning on it. And the first thing you'll notice is there's actually a new wood type that you can get. It's called Green Heart. And you can get these from these trees, and you'll also, along with the earth slime islands, you'll get earth slime crystals, which will spawn in geodes, and those spawn low in the overworld, and they contain earth slime crystals. Now, earth slime crystals are useful for smelting into normal slime balls with a blast furnace, and later, once I talk about the smeltery, you can also use them to make slime bucket and get liquid slime. Otherwise, you can get the liquid slime from just picking it up here. So these slime islands are also useful for getting these coagulated slime blocks, because you can use those to make normal slime balls as well. Each one gives you 4. And you can make this slime cake with the slimy grass and the liquid slime, which when you eat it gives you the luck effect. So that's the first type of slime island you're going to find in your world. The next slime island is called the Sky Slime Island, and this one's an actual floating island. So if I go ahead and teleport to it, you can see now we are way up in the air, and these things will spawn just floating around in any biome. And you can see there's actually another type of wood here called the Sky Root, that's what it's called. And so it's got a pretty cool looking door and everything. And again, you've got a geode associated with this island type. These spawn high and underground, so you might even find one of these before an Earth Slime geode. And they contain the Sky Slime crystals, which you can do the same thing, blast them in a blast furnace and get Sky Slime balls. And then as well, if you put them in a smelter, you're going to get Sky Slime bucket, or you can again pick that up from in here. There's also the coagulated Sky Slime block, which of course you can make Sky Slime balls, or you can keep it to jump on. If you jump on these, you can go pretty high, which is all the fun. And the cake here, tall slimy grass again. With the Sky Slime buckets, this one gives you jump boost, which is pretty useful if you ask me. The third type of island is the Clay Island, and this one's a little different than the other two. It's actually just kind of a normal island. They're definitely floating still, but they spawn with clay, a lake of clay in the middle, and they're sort of just cool decorative things. You can build a cool base on top of these, and they don't do a whole lot, but they're pretty cool. Now the next 2 islands I want to talk about are in the Nether and in the End, so let's go ahead and head over there. But first of all, we've got another Nether cobalt ore. So this will spawn naturally in the Nether, so just be aware that you can now collect cobalt ore in the Nether, and that'll be useful for crafting some special tools later on. So let's go ahead and head to the Nether. So in the Nether, floating in the lava lakes, you'll run across these Blood Island slime islands, and these are pretty mysterious, but they have 2 types of coagulated slime. So they have congealed ichor and congealed blood, which is kind of gnarly, but you'll find these floating around, and you can of course make the corresponding slime balls out of that. So you can make ichor balls and coagulated blood, which is sure tasty. As well, there's a new cake that you can make with this magma bucket, which is this stuff here in the middle. And this gives you fire resistance as well, and if you have to use crimson roots and glowstone here. So that's a pretty nice cake to have. There is another geode for ichor crystals. This spawns at high nether elevation and contains ichor crystals. which similarly can be blast furnace to make ichor balls. As well, there's a new shroom type. It's called blood shroom, which you can find right here. I don't know whether to call it a wood or not, but it's pretty menacingly red. It looks pretty cool. So this is some useful stuff you're going to be able to find on these islands, as well as the leaves, which are a slimy wart, which it looks pretty cool. It's a nice purple. Now the other island is the End Slime Island. So let's go ahead and head to the end. And let's see. Looks like I need to grab a lever here. And this is the Ender Slime Island. So, oh boy, I'm getting bounced around. So this is going to have a similar congealed Ender Slime block. It's got a similar setup. You're going to be able to make a cake with those, or just the Ender Slime balls. And the cake, you need the grass and the Ender Slime liquid, same as the other ones. This one doesn't actually include a new wood type. It uses the same wood as the Earth Slime Islands, but there are a geode associated with it. And these spawn just inside the end islands, and you can use it to collect Ender Slime crystal, which again can be smelted into Ender Slime balls and also made into Ender Slime buckets if you melt the crystals down in a smeltery. So those are the few of the islands that are going to spawn in your world. They're all sort of similar in the way that they operate, but they all kind of have a unique vibe to them, except for the Clay Island, which is probably the outlier here. But anyway, let's move into some of the basic crafting that you're going to do in Tinker's Construct. So in the early game, to make tier 1 stuff, you're going to start with this thing called a pattern. And it's really easy to craft. You get 3 of them with just 2 planks and 2 sticks. And you're also going to need these 3 core crafting stations. Now they all look the same from the side, but here they are from the top. So the first is the crafting station, which you craft literally just with the crafting table and a pattern on top of it. Next is the part builder, which you use 2 planks and 2 patterns, just like that. And the last is the Tinker Station, which you're going to have to craft with 3 patterns and 2 oak planks. And this one actually requires using the Tinker's Construct crafting station and not a normal crafting table. And I would highly recommend to start using this crafting station with all of your Tinker's crafting, just to make sure it's not required to craft anything. And once you set these down, you can actually see they also come with a quick swap feature. So you can click on any of these objects and access their inventories, and their functionality will only be clicking on one, which is really useful. The other 2 here are the part chest and the Tinker's chest. The part chest is just made with a pattern, a plank, some sticks, and a chest. And this is going to hold a bunch of different types of parts. I was trying to max it out, but it just kept creating more slots the more I added in. So I'm not actually sure what the exact limit is here, but you can fit a lot of parts in here, but only 8 of each part. The other one, of course, being the Tinker's chest here, which is replacing the sticks in that crafting recipe with lapis. And this is just a general large chest, and you can see there is 2 sheets here, so it's the size of a double chest plus 2 extra rows. So it's got a good amount of storage in it, and I think you can put like whatever in there. There's not really a limit to it, and it's pretty useful to have around. You can still access these through your quick swap as well, which is really useful. So now I want to talk about the tier 1, which is the early game weapons. And of course, I've got a little setup here with these 3 crafting stations. And to start making tools in Tinkers, you need to first create parts. And then once you have the parts of those tools, you can put the parts together to create the actual tool itself. So if I go ahead and go into here, you can see in the part builder, it requires a material and a pattern. And if you put the pattern and material in, you can see I've got all of these tool options. And of course, you might be wondering, well, what the heck do I do with all these types of parts? I don't know which ones are required for what. And this is where the Tinker Station comes in handy. So here are the tools you can make in tier 1. And let's say I just want to make a basic pickaxe. You can actually see the components that are required here. So I need pick head, tool handle, and tool binding. So then you can go ahead and go into your part builder and make what you need. So I've got a tool handle here, tool binding here, and of course pickaxe head. And that gives you all the parts that you need. And then you can switch over to the Tinker Station, select the thing you're going to make, and add your tool parts in. And there you go. You've made your first Tinker's Construct tool. And this is the same thing you use to make any tools, and you can replace the materials that you use it with. So you can have, a stone pickaxe head with the wooden binding and the wooden handle. and you can kind of mix and match that way to change the stats that you get. So now I want to go ahead and talk about all of the beginning mode tools, and that's going to be the sword, the dagger, the kama, the pickaxe, the hand axe, mattock, and the pickaxe. And all of these tools do something slightly different and can be made in tier 1 at least out of wood, bone, flint, or cobblestone. So let's start with the sword here. It's a basic sword, nothing much different than vanilla. Go ahead and swing at zombies with it, and you know, it's a sword. I don't know what else to say about it. The next is the dagger, and the dagger is pretty cool because it has a quick attack, but it can also be used in the offhand. So if I put it in my offhand and I right click, it has a separate cooldown than my sword, so I can swing both at the same time. And wombo combo, so you can see I can go ahead like this. Pretty cool. And the third one here is called the kama, and the kama is a sort of all-purpose farming tool. And if you right click on a fully grown wheat, it actually plants and destroys the wheat. Now I have a command block creating this here, so it's just gonna always respawn. But if this was a tilled farmland, it would actually just plant another baby seed along with collecting the wheat. It also works pretty well for mining dirt, and it's generally a decent weapon, but all in all, pretty solid farming tool. And I'm pretty sure it can till dirt as well, but I couldn't get it to work since I'm in an ice biome, so that's not a thing that I did with it, but it's still a really good farming tool to have. And the fourth one here is the pickaxe, and this thing is a little weird, but it acts as a pickaxe and a shovel. So you can see it mines stone pretty fast, also mines dirt pretty fast. So it kind of acts as both. Pretty versatile tool, and it's nice to only have one of these in your inventory instead of having to have a pickaxe and a shovel on you. And next is the hand axe, which is pretty self-explanatory. It mines wood and can be, customized tinker style, but is nothing too special here. So the mattock is a pretty useful tool. It's sort of an axe, it's sort of a shovel, but it's also sort of a hoe. So it can till dirt, it can mine wood, and it can also mine dirt pretty quickly. So this one's really, really useful. It can do a lot of things. Generally a good idea to have a good mattock on you most of the time if you can have it. And it's a pretty decent weapon too, as far as I'm concerned. But it has a pretty slow reload time, as you can see. And the last one here is the pickaxe, of course. Nothing too crazy about it. You mine stone with it. It's the best tool for mining rocks. And that's about it. So now that you know all the tools, let's go over how you can repair these things. Let's go back in creative. You can see I've got some damage here, and you can either repair with an existing material in the bench, or you can create repair kits for on the go repairing. So if I go ahead and go into here, grab some planks, and go in the Tinker Station, you can see the first option is a repair and modify. And if you put ahead oak planks in there and add a damage tool, obviously you can use a plank to repair it. It's good as new. Now the other thing you can do is create these repair kits. So if I create a few repair kits, they use a pattern in the oak plank, but you can repair on the go with these. So if I'm in survival mode, you can go ahead and just add a repair kit into the crafting station, or into just your crafting grid, and use the repair kit to fully repair it on the go. And you can even make metal one of these, and it's really useful to have if you're exploring out far away and you have low durability on your tool. So let's talk about upgrading a tool you already have. And you can actually use the same exact tool throughout your entire playthrough if you really wanted, because you can actually add on different pieces directly to this. So what you got to do is make a better version of something you have. So make a stone pick head versus, a wooden one. And you can actually add your tool in and add the new part, and it'll upgrade that. So it's going to add a different pickaxe head here, being the stone one. And now I have this. And I can go ahead and even add a new binding in too. And just like that, you have an upgraded pickaxe, and you can keep on going, and now it mines quicker, and it's pretty solid. Well, I mean, that was pretty quick because I'm in creative, but you get the idea. So now let's move on to tier 2. And you might be wondering, well, what if I want to start working with metal? I want some iron tools. I don't want just bone and flint. And so that's where this melter is going to come in handy. And this is a small version of the Tinker's Smeltery that you might have heard of. And to make a melter, you're going to want to start by making this stuff, which is grout. And to make grout, you can either make 8 of it with some gravel here, some sand in this S shape or like a Tetris block, and a clay block. Or you can make just 2 grout with gravel, sand, and a clay ball. And to make the seared brick, which is the building block to creating the melter, you just smelt out some grout. So if I go ahead and hit the coal in there, it'll start smelting into some seared bricks. And from here, you can use the seared bricks to craft the other stuff. There it goes. Now the first thing you want to make is the seared heater. And this is just going to be with 8 seared bricks like you're making a chest. The next thing is the casting table, and this is going to be seared bricks in a table shape like that. The third thing you're going to want is the fuel gauge, which is a crafting ingredient to make the next thing, which you use glass and 4 seared bricks. And then you'll use that tank to make the melter, which is seared bricks in like a minecart shape with the fuel gauge in the middle. That's going to give you the seared melter. And lastly, you'll need the seared faucet, which is just 3 bricks like this, and that'll give you 2 faucets. Now, you're going to want to actually put this together as a multi-block, and the way this works is you have to put the heater on the bottom, put the melter on top of that, and then you can put the tables wherever you want on the side. So put the table, and then whichever side you choose, put the faucet on the melter side of it on top, so that when there's stuff melting up in here, it'll become molten iron or whatever, and then you'll dump it on the table like that. So let's go over how to actually create some parts with metal. So the first thing you're going to want to do is collect some iron. I'm going to use iron for this example. And you can see here's the melter GUI, and you're able to melt 3 items into liquid. So if I put 3 iron in here, you can see the little bar appears and it says it's not enough heat to melt this item. And that of course is because there's no coal in it. So this heater can take wood, coal, or lava buckets. I'm going to go ahead and use coal in here. And now you can see that these bars appear and it starts melting the iron. And this is going to go ahead and melt it as 3 ingots into liquid form. Now you may be wondering, how do I use these ingots and why do they give me 4? Well, you actually get extra ingots from melting out inside the melter versus using a traditional furnace. So this is actually giving you more bang for your buck, which is really nice. So to make tools with this iron, you need to actually do something called sand casting. And you'll use a wooden part to leave an imprint on the table and then pour the molten iron into the sand cast. So the first thing you want to do is make a sand cast, and that's just using 4 sand to get 4 sand casts, and set it down on your casting table. And the next thing to do is make a wooden part of whatever you want to make out of iron. So if I'm going to make a pick head here, make the oak wood pick head and then set it into the sand. And then once you take it out, you can see it actually has left an imprint there, moved the sand out of the way in the shape of the pick head. And now you can go ahead and dump some iron by clicking on the faucet or right clicking on it. And it'll solidify in there, destroy the sand cast, but it'll give you your iron pick head. You can see that used 2 ingots. And each part is going to have a different cost. So I think the tool handle is only 1, the binding is only 1. All of them are going to be a certain number of ingots that they use. All right, now I want to talk about working with slime. Now there's some sort of fun extra stuff you can do in this mod with the slime. And the first is these slime slings. So to make these, you use a congealed block of whatever color slime it is and 3 slime balls. And then 2 string. So here's that with the sky sling, the ichor sling, and the ender slime. And all of these do slightly different things. So let's go ahead and grab all of them and go into the sling testing facility. So the slime sling is simply just going to launch you really far. So if you aim at a block while you're standing on the ground, it'll just launch you backwards. And this is really fun. It launches you really far. So it's of course a good time to use, and you'll bounce off walls and everything. And beware of fall damage with this one. Now the sky slime sling is something that doesn't go as far, but you can use it in the air, so you don't have to be looking at a block. If you're up in the air falling, you can aim upwards with it and it'll dampen you a little bit. Or if you're jumping over a ravine, you can launch yourself a little bit and stuff like that. So pretty useful. I don't think it's as fun as a normal slime sling, but it's definitely still a good time. Now the third one, the ichor sling, actually launches enemies in front of you. So we've got this slime here, and if I click on him, you can see it pushes him back. And you can kind of use this defensively if you're getting pushed by something. And of course launch them, and they go pretty far, which is all a lot of fun. And the last slime sling here is the Ender Slime Sling, which is a brief teleport. And you can see I teleport over that block. It's not super far that you teleport, but could be useful. I don't believe you go through walls, but you may. I haven't tested that, but since you go through this chest, I'm going to assume you could probably go through, 1 or 2 block wall with this sling, which is pretty fancy if you ask me. Maybe even teleport through this. Yeah, pretty cool. So along with these slings, you can actually make something really cool called the Piggy Backpack. And the way you make this is getting a block of congealed blood from the nether and go ahead and melt it in a melter. And on the table, you're going to want to put a saddle. And I'll show you what this does in a second, but as this melts, you'll get 4 slime balls worth of blood in there, then dump it on top of a saddle, and you'll get the Piggy Backpack. And this is a pretty cool item that actually allows you to pick mobs up, which is, pretty funny and useful. So if you right click on a mob, you can see it goes on top of your head. And if I was in survival mode, the backpack would have disappeared here, and it's gone on my back now. So it's in your chest slot. You need a free chest slot to use it. And you also get this carrying buff, which is actually a debuff because it makes you slower. But I think you can carry multiple mobs with these, and you can walk around with them. And then to take them off, get near an edge, of course, and then take it off your back. He got away this time. And then you can go ahead and use it again to do whatever you need to do. So the last thing I want to talk about are these 2 shurikens. You got the flint and the quartz shuriken, and the flint one does less damage but more knockback, and the quartz one does more damage but less knockback. And you can craft these with 4 flint like this and get 4 shurikens, or 4 quartz like this to get 4 shurikens. And you can toss these at stuff. Pretty fun. They do a lot of damage if they're quartz, and then if they hit the ground, they pop back up, so you don't have to worry about, losing your shurikens. So that's actually everything I'm going to talk about today. This is just a basic introduction to Tinker's Construct, and there's a lot more with this mod with the big smeltery and the foundry. So those will be coming in the next episode. They're pretty big topics, so I figured I would just save an entire episode for that and talk about everything else in this episode. So yeah, hopefully in the next episode we'll be going over the foundry and the smeltery. We'll probably be balls deep in that stuff. It's a lot to go over with that. But until then, this has been Aspect. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.